Welcome to episode 37 of PuckPod by BD Sports. My name is Brian. I'm here with David and Christian. They both have some really nice looking shirts. David obviously has the goat on his shirt. And Christian, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing this beautiful, beautiful hoodie that was provided to me by my friends here, Brian and Dave, with our logo on it. And it said, "Come on, I have to wear this on the next episode. I have to." So shout out to these guys for getting me that, and hopefully we'll get an episode where we're all wearing it. We got to do that
Hopefully.
one time.
I got to
Yes.
pick
Yeah.
mine up still.
Oh,
I was gonna
okay,
drop
okay.
I was honestly gonna drop it off tonight, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, let's not get into our weeks because we have a lot of hockey content to cover. Let's get
I had a
started. Let's
boring
open up.
week. It's
Pardon?
fine. I had a boring week. Doesn't really matter.
Honestly, me too. But let's get into the first topic with the surprise trade. Yes, I didn't really see it coming. Lips were sealed from both sides, both parties. Sean Durzi moves to Arizona for a second round pick.
Okay, first things first, I just want to say we're all really excited to talk today. Like, I think this is by far most excited I've been to talk for the pod since probably the Leafs win, like Leafs round one. That's very easily. I don't know about you, Brian. Brian, that one, it might be even going farther back for you, man. It might be like trade deadline. I don't know.
The most
Maybe when they
exciting,
got
yeah.
the 8th overall pick.
True,
No,
draft
no,
lottery.
no,
Oh,
No,
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 but
he
then
was
no,
like,
no, 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 no.
yeah,
It was
no.
that one just before
The day before,
the
yeah.
day before the lottery. Where you're like,
Yeah,
oh
you're
man,
right.
I'm waiting. You know.
I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna win, but that didn't happen. But
Okay.
in terms of winning, honestly, I think Arizona wins this one.
I think like easily, man. I gotta pull up the numbers here, but what did I say to you guys? What was the first thing I said? I said, how is Sean Durzi not at least getting to me the same deal as Sandin? So we traded our late first for or no, we got a late first. We got Boston's first round pick from the Capitals in exchange for Rasmus Sandin. That pick ends up being 28. Sean Durzi goes to Arizona for a second. I'm assuming it's Arizona's second, but I don't know for sure.
Montreal's.
Montreal's. Okay.
Yep.
In and around the same range. I think that's like probably like 35, 36. I guess at the end of the day, that's not crazy difference in value. But to me, at that price, a lot of teams should be interested in Sean Durzi. I think a early second to pay for Sean Durzi is something I would do 9 times out of 10. Almost unanimously contender rebuilding team. If Sean Durzi is your 5 or 6, I think you're doing pretty well. That was my first reaction. How about you guys?
Well, here's the thing. He's not going to be a 5 or 6 on Arizona. He is going to be
Oh my
one.
God.
That is
He's
a
the number one.
right there.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You are the Jacob Chikrin.
That is 30 minutes a night, Sean Durzi now, I think, instead of what was it, like 18 probably, or like under 18.
And I mean, that's the same conversation we had with Sandin when he first arrived with the Caps. Not that John Carlos is not the number one, but he was injured.
Yeah, no ear.
So
Yeah.
for a short period of time, Rasmus Sandin was the number one, munching all the minutes and putting up all the points. I think we can expect the same from Durzi, right?
Yes. And I also I know I said Arizona won the trade, but I also like the idea for LA because obviously it gives the young guys a chance to come up potentially. And yeah. Also, one more thing about Durzi, he's actually up at the end of this season, which
Still
means that
trade
he
bait.
potentially. And
He's RFA though, right? Like
yes.
you would have to think, unless he says, if he pulls a Dubois and says, "I'm not signing here. I don't like Arizona. I don't want to be relocated," then maybe. But he is got team control. He's got control.
Dude,
But-
is this the first buy Arizona's had in like 5 years?
Forever.
At least. Like, who was
Taylor
the last
Hall.
time Arizona bought somebody?
Taylor
I'll
Hall.
have you know, on March 9th, they got Steven Kampfer for future considerations.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Warm
Gonna
bodies.
be first line center this year, Steven Kampfer.
Yeah. You know, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of a time where, or at least the last time, that Arizona was acquiring someone where they were
Like
giving up a
adding,
draft. They were giving up a draft pick. I'm just
They-
searching through here. I'm in 2022, and none of these are buys. So it's been
So-
at least a year.
If you guys have cap friendly up, count how
Mhm.
many second and third round picks Arizona have in the next
I don't have it up,
Dude.
but I will take a guess. It's over under. The over under I'm putting at 9.5. I'm taking the over there.
So okay, let's do the next 3 years. So that includes 23.
Take a guess.
Second and thirds combined,
So
right?
second and thirds combined for the next 3 years.
Yep.
I want to say they have at least 2 for the next 3 years, like in both rounds. So if it's 4 a
Sure.
year,
So
4, 8, 12. So I'm gonna say 12.
They
I
don't.
think that's honestly under.
That is under.
Is it actually?
The only
Yeah.
year they don't have 2 is this year in the second round. They only have their
my
own.
God.
And they
But
might
they
pick one
they,
up,
they just
honestly.
yeah, and that's just
they
because they
had
just
to.
traded away. Yeah. But Dave, 12 is under. Christian, do you have a guess?
I'm looking at it too, so don't ask me. Yeah, I'm just looking at all of these freaking picks. Looks like a pyramid on my screen.
Dave,
I
they have
think hell
17 in the
They have
next
17 picks.
in
Wow.
the second or third round.
And that's crazy, man. That is crazy.
They're bound to hit on something.
Well, see, the question is though, do you use all of those picks individually, or do you consolidate them and try to like
Move up.
2/3 for a player, 2/3 for a second, 2 seconds for a first, right? That's what you probably try and do if you're Arizona, because you can't ice all of these second and third rounders. Like you can't do the OKC thing. This is what OKC does in the NBA. They just get all the picks, but then they end up having to trade them to consolidate them.
So this is my question. Why make this trade? Because I think we could all agree here. Arizona is okay. Last year, I know listen, I went off the rail when I said like they were gonna make the playoffs. I have to say one thing. They put up a better fight than the other teams. Like they played a lot better than the other teams in that like bottom 6, I would say. Like those really garbage, like Anaheim, Chicago, those
San
guys,
Jose.
San Jose. Dude, a lot of them looked lifeless. I think Arizona, besides Calgary, who lost, I think it was like a record like 31 goal games or something. It was like something ridiculous where Calgary kept it close. They couldn't finish it. Arizona was up there on that list of, losing, by a tight margin of victory. But it looks like this year, there's no talent on this roster. If there was none last year, there's like literally like just bones left on this roster right now. So why trade for a young, I get it, young, exciting prospect. We saw glimpses of Sean Durzi in Toronto. We got those highlight packs when he got drafted. We got to see him in LA. And, he was for a time there, I think he was cracking in the top 4, kind of got pushed down a little bit. Why trade for Durzi instead of picking up, UFA guys that you could then just flip at the deadline, which is what I think they're going to do to fill out the rest of this roster.
You gotta keep the fans excited for something, man. Now they have an upcoming young defenseman.
But they've never really cared about keeping the fans excited. That's my thing. Like if you cared about keeping your fans excited, you wouldn't charge $150 to get into that barn that you call an arena, right?
This is a rabbit hole. This is a deep rabbit hole. But like, okay, as a GM, LA's calling Sean Durzi for a second round pick. I do that in a heartbeat from any team, right?
I'm having a hard time coming up with a reason for them not to, as much as it's the other teams. Why didn't other teams do this? That's how I continue to look at it. Like he put up 38 points this year, 9 goals, 29 assists for 38 points in 72 games. That's pretty freaking good. 27 points in 64 games the year before.
I'm a fan.
As a 24, 23-year-old.
I'm honestly a little bit bumming that we didn't go for it. But like then again, our right side's filled out. I know Durzi can kind of play the left, but I don't know.
I think the ideal thing for him is either, but you probably want him top 4 with a rock steady defensive defenseman. I think that's like the ideal pairing for this guy because he's definitely a puck mover. He gives up a little bit on defense, but if you put him with someone to steady him, I think that's what you want. Arizona, I don't think has that, but
so Dyson Mayo is that guy.
Dyson Mayo, what a great name! 10 out of 10 name. I have one last thing on this here. So Sandin gets a late first. Durzi gets a late second. I mean, an early second. Potentially, what is Timothy Liljegren's value in comparison? I'd say like a mid second, maybe. Yeah, like I think he probably comes in a little bit of a tier slightly behind Durzi. He's better defensively, but that's what I'm looking at it here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Mid second in like the 80s.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. You know what? I'll even say like just a couple picks behind whatever Jersey got. Like if Durzi's 35, Lily can probably get in the 40s. I'll even say that.
Not that he's even on the trade board. This is just me selfishly thinking that in my head because we gotta make it about the Leafs.
Okay, let's keep it in the Central Division. Uh, well, two Central teams made a trade with each other. Ryan Johansen goes to Colorado, 50% retained from Nashville in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk, who is on expiring contract. So basically nothing. Okay. First reaction when I saw this trade was I absolutely love this for Colorado. They get their 2C for half off, and I think this is gonna give Ryan Johansen a chance to shine. I'm a big fan. I honestly think he's a pretty good player. Like I know that he's being paid like a superstar, but now he's not on Colorado, and he gets to play on a better team. And also Colorado finally have the hole filled from what was left of Nazem Kadri.
I'm looking at his stats here from last year. He had a really bad year. 28 points in 55 games. That's basically a 40-point pace. But it is tough to hate at a 4x2 number, right? And
He's
that's
getting
what
paid like a
Colorado's
3C.
getting.
Yeah,
He is
he's
going to
getting
get paid. He's getting paid like a 3C, but I think the big thing is actually the term, the fact that it's only 2 years. Because how I'm looking at it is I'm almost looking at it as if they signed him as a UFA because they didn't have to pay anything for him, right? And that's how free agency works. You don't have to give up anything. You just give them the money. And that's kind of how this is going here. And if Ryan Johansen was on the open market, he's definitely getting. I would say he's
6.
getting more than 2 years.
Oh,
Um.
yeah.
Okay, he's 30. You could probably. I would say. I would
Six
say
by
maybe 5x5. I could say you
yeah.
could get a 5x5. That's what I could see personally. And to get
would
him
it
at
be
four by
worth?
two,
But would it be worth a 5x5?
exactly.
Mm. At
Exactly.
35, do you
Specifically that
want?
second five, that year.
Yeah,
The term is what kills me.
yeah.
So I think
At
Colorado's getting the
35,
best of both worlds.
do you want Ryan Johansen at 35 making 5 mil? Ooh, maybe not. But
Yeah.
at 30 and 31, Ryan Johansen making 5 mil. It's a lot more palatable. And that's what Colorado's getting in this, right? Like this is probably close to the end of Ryan Johansen's prime. He not one of the Preds that put up like a career high a couple of years ago. So he's like a season removed.
Yeah, so it was him and Duchesne that had really good years last year. Last year he had 63 points in 79 games, with 26 goals, which was it's his second highest mark in his
Okay.
career.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good. Like if you're getting that from him this year,
Yeah, so you make
4x2 is a
that bet.
bargain. Yes.
So that's why you make this bet, right? So
Yeah.
it's that, like you said, Christian, it's like a UFA signing. Definitely another thing too, like dude, 50% retention. So instead of the 8 mil you're eating up for this year and next year, it's only taking out 4. Maybe, yeah, you definitely, I would take that bet if I'm the Avs, right? You put him just below Nate. Hopefully Nate gets to stay healthy all year. You lost your captain in Landeskog for the year. Rantanen also had, I believe he had a pretty injury-plagued season. So you're pushing some of those guys that were playing bigger minutes last year. You push them down a little bit. Man,
I don't know. I love this move. Look at his face off
no,
percentage.
I
It's
do
got to
too.
it's
I think it's
it's
a
got to
very
be at
good,
least over
like you
55.
find
It's
that's
got to
probably
be a,
the best. That's probably the best UFA second line center that you could find right now.
but like not even that. It's just he brings so much value that I just think people understand. One, his payoff percentage is ridiculous. Two, another thing, he's a right-handed center, which it's not really a common thing. And you're also gonna put a guy who likes to pass and touch the puck with either one of Rantanen, Nishushkin, or Lekanen. You know, they're
Mhm.
gonna get their chances. I think he's actually gonna do pretty well. This might be a career year for him in terms of
His face-off
production.
percentage is 59.2. I just wanted to get the actual number there. So it's a really good number.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
no,
it's
it's
just a
one of the
hair
league's
under
best.
60, man,
Yeah.
can't
So
go
I
wrong.
don't know.
what's the production that you'd have to get out of Ryan Johansen to consider it a good deal? Specifically next year. Is 50 points, 20 goals, 30 assists enough? I think honestly it might be. I think that's the mark for me where I'm like,
It's
I'm satisfied.
It's
With
50, but it's in an 82 game like
he's never
this is
hurt.
Yes, 50
Sorry,
point pace. So
he's never
slightly
healthy.
over. So let's say a point 6 point per game pace.
I
Yep.
would say honestly 50 points, but he has to play in at least 60 games though.
So 50 points in 60 games.
I would say at
Or you're saying the
least
pace.
playing 60 games.
Okay. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
my term of
Availability
success.
is
If you're
it's
available,
important.
that's
Yes,
my thing,
you gotta
right?
be available, especially on Colorado, who has been missing availability from guys, right?
That
It's a
is
good
why
point.
they
It's a very good
traded
point.
for that is why
Yeah.
they traded for him, right? For somebody to be available. And I don't think you could get, an Iron Man, like, one of those types of guys to be
Yeah.
available at that price with his same skill. I don't think that there's like, you have to kind of compromise a little bit. So unfortunately, you take a guy who's probably got a little bit more hard miles. One knock could probably take him out for a bit longer than other guys. But you caveat that with, everything else that Brian mentioned above, right? So
Yeah.
it's a good bet to make, honestly.
Real quick on the Nashville side, I feel like if I had to give a grade, it's TBD because it all depends on what they do with that space now, right? So
Yeah.
they freed up 4 million in space for this year and next year. Um, I think if they use some of that space to take on another bad contract to get an asset back because they didn't get one in this situation, then you say kudos Barry Trotz, well done, nice piece of business. Until then, yeah, there's not really much to say on the Nashville part of things.
They basically just got cap space.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into our next topic. Let's go to Jordan Staal. He extends with Carolina. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like 2.8,
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
believe it's 2.85. Yeah.
2.85.
2.9 by 4.
Does anybody have any like grievances because he's old? Because honestly, I think this is perfectly fine for both parties. One guy
No,
got
it's okay. I thought
yeah.
honestly, the first thing that I said in our chat was, isn't this guy 37? Like that's gonna take him like what 41, or whatever, 40. And then you guys were like, no, he's younger than the other two brothers. And I was like, okay, so then you know what? It's for 4 years, he's your captain as well. That's a deal in 3 to 4 years. Like I didn't say anything about like no movement or anything like that, but like in 3 years, who knows what his condition's gonna be like. But for 2.5 or whatever, just a hair under 3, that's gonna be nothing if all metrics are gonna be, like if we're supposed to go, like the cap's gonna go up like what 10 mil over the next 4 years or something like that. That's gonna look even nicer, just a little depth roll for Jordan Staal in 3 years. You can't go wrong with that, honestly.
So his past 2 seasons, 78 games played, 81 games played, 36 and 34 points. If he stays on that pace, that's about what you pay a guy that plays center, defensive center, who's putting up just under 40 points. 2.9, not terrible. And like we said, captain. So I don't really have too many qualms with this deal. In terms of the clauses on it, it is full no move for the first 3 years, and then it turns into a full no trade. So he's got tons of protection there, but I assume that he's not going anywhere, right? So
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
decent deal there.
Another guy that doesn't seem to want to go anywhere is Torrey Krug. He will not waive his no movement clause, and it seems like the trade might be going towards Philly. There's a lot that's being talked about, but we don't know what's going on. Danny Briere is trying to do God's work though, and yeah, like there's I don't know exactly what the specifications of the trade could have been. We know that it's a blockbuster.
I know Kevin Hayes is supposed to be a part of it.
Yeah, and there's supposed to be a late first from St. Louis. It was supposed to be like at least the names that we heard involved were Kevin Hayes and Sanheim. And then on the St. Louis end, it was I think the only name we heard was Krug, and then there's the first. Pretty sure those are the only names that we've heard. I don't know
I
if there would be any more than that.
I would imagine it's Krug for the money. Maybe you have to I would imagine there probably is another piece because what Kevin Hayes is on what, like, is he not on like 7 mil a year?
7 mil. I'm gonna guess it's probably. I think it's like 2 or 3 years left of term off the top of my head. I'll take a look here. So
And
I think if
Sanheim,
we Sandheim is not even his extension hasn't kicked in for an
yeah.
8 year deal at 6.25. So that's the thing there. So it all really depends on if you look at him as a cap dump or value. And it's tough. But I'll get to Sandheim in a second because I do have some thoughts there. Kevin Hayes is making 7.1 for the next 3 years with a modified no trade list. I don't think we've heard anything on him having to waive that, so he's probably all good on that front. Um, if I had to guess the other piece that's involved, we did hear rumblings about Scott Lawton, and that St. Louis apparently tabled one of their late firsts. I think they picked 25th and 29th. So one of those picks and a second. They tabled both of those for Scott Lawton, and apparently Danny Briere rejected. I don't remember which insider it was that had this. It might have been LeBrun or Sutter Valley, but don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. But if it is that huge mega deal, I would assume he's maybe involved. But now, because of the no trade clause stuff going on with Torrey Krug, it sounds like it might just be Kevin Hayes straight up. That might end up being all that happens is St. Louis simply takes Kevin Hayes. I think it's interesting that if they wanted Kevin Hayes, would you rather have Kevin Hayes at 7 million for the next 3 years or Ryan Johansen on a 4x2? Because
Ryan Johansen all
that's where
day.
you're right. So because Kevin Hayes is going to probably be a 2C, maybe be a 1C, which is not that great. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. It sounds like St. Louis might have not only might be in isolation being a trade I don't like, but in comparison to what we just talked about, it looks maybe even worse. It hasn't happened yet, so that's the conundrum here. Is the insiders are losing their heads because we don't know what's going on. But
It's just
from
funny that like it's the reason it's not happening is because Torrey Krug is saying no, 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 don't send me
Well,
to
he knows.
Philadelphia.
you
He
saw what
knows
happened to
he,
Ryan Ellis, his career died there.
yeah.
I mean, it was injury, but that's almost what it feels like. It's just a mirror of the Ryan Ellis deal from Nashville.
We gotta tip our
I
hat to Danny Beard though. He's
dude, 10 out of 10 marks for this guy
Guy's
so far.
wheeling and dealing right now,
I
dude.
love him, man. I loved him
Unbelievable.
as a player. I might love him even more as a GM.
It's not even the only move or like it's not even the only thing he tried to do. Well, I guess because like Tony DeAngelo going to Carolina for pennies on the dollar. Not only is that a slap in the
Yeah,
face to Chuck Fletcher, but it's also like,
Well,
okay, we got to get everything
he
out,
is
yeah,
quite literally
undoing
like I not
Control
even like
Z.
with a not even with like a broom and a dustpan. Like this guy's got like that automatic
baseball bat.
vacuum. He's got the automatic vac, like the ones that you find at like gas stations to suck all the dirt out of this Philadelphia roster right now. Yeah,
Yes,
it's something that didn't seem possible maybe 6 months ago. If you watch them at any time throughout the season, you would, remember how I mentioned before off the top of the show, like, Arizona didn't look lifeless. If there was one team besides Anaheim that looked lifeless this year, it was
Philadelphia.
the Broad Street, I don't even know, softies, I guess we could call them.
Yeah,
Dude, man, oh my God. So hats off to Danny Briere for even having the audacity to get some of these like moves done, and I don't think he's even close. Like I don't even think it's at 50% for
I feel like everything is available, and
yeah.
like we could even see Konechny go right. I think that's the
Yeah.
one where we're saying, could it happen? Everyone else you just assume will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sandheim, Lawton,
Carter Hart.
um, Carter Hart, Kevin Hayes. We just assume these guys will go. On the Tony DeAngelo stuff, yeah, he's gonna get traded for pennies on the dollar, but I still don't look at it as anything other than a win for Danny Briere. Maybe it's definitely an L for Philly, in the context of Chuck Fletcher trading. I think a first for him
Yeah.
extending him. Terrible, terrible stuff, but we don't have to get into Chuck Fletcher anymore. For Danny
Thank
Briere,
goodness.
it's great work. It is great, assuming that happens.
Okay, I'll give you guys the choice. Do you guys want to talk about the Flyers and Wild jerseys, or do you guys want to go right into Calgary?
I'll
I
be
think we
honest.
talked. Sorry, Dave. What do you want to vote?
I'll be honest. I don't think I've even seen the Wild jerseys. I know I saw the Flyers ones.
The
But
nice
Yeah.
ones.
But there isn't like an actual photo of the Wild jerseys yet. I think they've said they're going to make slight alterations. Really quick jersey talk. It'll be like a couple minutes here. The Wild jersey is they're going to make their reverse retro an alternate. I don't remember if
good.
it's reverse retro 1.0 or 2.0 because they're very similar jerseys. They're just color flipped.
So that's the North Star ones, right?
The
North
North
Star
Star
colors.
colored
They're
Minnesota Wild
gorgeous.
jersey, which I think
Yeah.
is
Okay.
I honestly I
Smart.
hope they just make those their home and aways at some point. I think that would just make total sense and everyone would
Here,
love that.
here's one thing I have to say. Every team should just use those reverse retros as their alternates. Like for this year. Don't even call it reverse retros, just call them the alts
Yeah.
and just call it a day. You know, I would say pick one. You have two designs that you could go off of over the past 2 years. I know a lot of people didn't get to see the first ones in action because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that. Just, bring them back for like a couple games this year, call it a day. And now that Fanatics is taking over, we won't really get anything like this for probably a couple of years. So
So I feel
screw
like
it.
they probably have to like renegotiate whatever deal they had
Yeah.
because I bet there was like some thing where you can't wear these jerseys outside of this specific year. And I think that's probably part of why Minnesota said they have to make
They
slight
have to alter it.
alterations to the jersey, right? Which sucks. Maybe they can renegotiate it, like I said, and maybe they can just extend the deal for another year. I think everyone loves those jerseys.
Yeah.
It would suck to not have any kind of jersey promo going on next year, but it does
A-
kind of seem like we're going that way.
And one more thing on the front of jersey promos. I didn't have this in our list of topics, but I think that we all have the same take on this one. I'm not a fan of the whole scrapping the practice jerseys.
Yeah, the warm up jerseys.
Yes. Sorry, yeah.
It,
Warm up
it
jerseys.
it sucks. It sucks. And but they did say that they are going to still make them, still auction them off. They just won't be worn on the ice.
But
Still sucks. That those pictures are great.
the
See
thing
the
is
dudes
like,
flowing out there.
yes. The thing is though, like, so my favorite out of all of them is definitely the purple, the hockey
The
fights
hockey
cancer
fights
one, right?
cancer ones, yeah.
And
Yeah,
let's look at Ovechkin, right? He puts the jersey on, and just because it's game worn, they can auction it off at a higher premium, and all that money goes
great point.
towards Hockey Fights Cancer, which is a great foundation that they run, a great program as well. Kind of diminishes the value, and obviously the NHL doesn't have to give money to charities, but at an auction, at the point where you're trying to raise as much money as possible, it's not a great look. I'll be honest with you.
I don't think anyone is looking at this as a great move outside of the very like inner circle of the NHL. And even then, there might be people who are saying, "I don't really agree with this." I hope that we can come to we can come to a solution maybe in a couple years down the road where we bring them back. I'd hope that there's a plan to get them back onto the ice, but TBD remains to be seen.
They're still doing the promotional nights,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
obviously
It's just like
jerseys just
in-house. It's
yeah,
gonna be it was normally in-house, but yeah, the practice jersey automatically, like, if I'm not mistaken, the Leafs raised with their Pride Night jerseys alone, I believe raised well over like $500,000 in sales, in auction sales. So that goes a long way, right? To any initiative, like a $500,000 to any cause. It's a lot, but I think I'll be honest with you, I kind of saw it coming after, the first incident happened with Ivan Provorov, and it kind of was, he was the odd man out. But then, over the next, I would say it was only about a month between the first and the last incident to happen.
yeah.
And that was at least 4 or 5 separate players, maybe over the course of 4 incidents, where it just got to the point where it was being talked about too much for it to stay. Like, there was no way after, like, if it was only, let's just say it was Ivan Provorov and that was the only incident to happen, that's something that you could gloss over, or the NHL could have glossed over, and kind of went into this year again with the same idea of bringing back all these nights. But after you have 4 separate incidents like that where it was constantly in the news, probably for the worse for these initiatives. Like, it was taken away from these initiatives. I think that's the point here. All of the media attention wasn't on the actual warm-up jerseys. It wasn't on the initiatives being taken place. It was on the players who decided to go against what they were mandated to do for their own selfish causes, right? And that's the unfortunate part of this whole situation, I think.
No, I
Well
agree
said.
in that sense. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna list off a couple players, and I want one of you guys to tell me what they have in common. Backlund, Foley, Hannafin, Lindholm.
They don't like where they live.
That's a good answer. They're all in the trade block, and they've all. I guess you can say it's a Calgary exodus. I guess
Yeah.
that they all don't want to resign, which puts Calgary in a tough situation.
Lindholm
But
is still in limbo, but the other three are confirmed. Lindholm just hasn't answered yet, but the other ones are 100% on the trade block.
It's got
But-
DND on right now.
but like
Yeah.
leaving your boss on red is the equivalent of, hey,
Yeah, I want to get out of here.
yeah,
I almost wonder if, like, on the Lindholm front, it's as simple as all my other buddies said they want to go. Do I really want to stay now? Had everyone else maybe said yes, I bet Lindholm says yes. But now it's just like, ooh, Backlund's not staying. Toffoli's going. Hannafin wants him back in the US. What the hell? I'm signing, and who the hell's still here? Right? I. It's a really tough situation. I feel for the fans. I think that's the first and foremost thing is they probably don't deserve this. They don't deserve this, especially after going through
back-to-back
last year.
years.
Exactly. The Gaudreau stuff. Getting Huberdeau and then tree living. Remember the stories of him whining and dining Hubie in Montreal with a steak. That was like it just felt like you got to do all this stuff just to get somebody to sign in Calgary.
The thing is, like
They
Calgary
get to do it in Montreal. Like,
Yeah, Huberdeau,
true.
I'll come to you, buddy. I'll come to you. Don't come
Yeah,
to Calgary.
don't come
I'll
here.
come to you.
Calgary is such a beautiful city. Like anybody who's ever been there and you ask them, what do you think of Calgary? They're gonna say, like, the air is fresher, the food tastes better, it's beautiful. But maybe playing for the Flames isn't that beautiful, you know? I'm not
That's
like
where I'm at too. I don't think it's the actual
Yeah.
city. I don't think it's living there. I think it is an organizational thing. But it's tough because they got rid of Sutter. However, they stayed in house and brought in Huska, who I think was an assistant coach there. So maybe that's not enough change to some of the players, or maybe it's the players themselves. Maybe that's where some of this is. Maybe having a year of Sutter caused some friction in the room, and it's not necessarily Sutter as much as it is whatever types of cliques and groups have been formed in the dressing room over the past year. I think that honestly, if I had to guess, I think it's probably that.
yeah. And another thing as well, their locker room just it doesn't seem like they're a team. It feels like to me they're just a bunch of like misfit toys put together, but in a bad way, you know? It's like you know how Vegas they had like that identity in the sense that like they're mercenaries, but they're here for the collective goal. It seems to me that like these guys are just at their jobs, just to do the 9 to 5, and then they clock it at 5. You know, they're
I
not
do think
actually
that
there.
was a lot with the coach, though. I do think that was the Sutter dilemma, right? Like, it
Yes.
just feel like a lot of it was that. I remember, I think Freach said this is maybe a couple weeks ago. He was talking about Backlund specifically and how he was in line to be the captain last year, and that didn't happen. And a lot of the players were mad about that, and they brought that up in exit meetings, saying, "See, listen, if you had Backlund as the captain, he's the guy we would go to with any Sutter complaints. Instead, we were kind of headless here, and it was just chaos."
They had what he said was that they had all their alternates kind of played hot potato with that situation. Was like, well, if you're not gonna, like, I don't want to take it if you're not gonna take it, basically, right? Like there was no direct boss to go
No
to,
structure
basically.
of leadership.
No structure of leadership, basically,
Yeah.
to go to get any situation resolved, which kind of festered the whole year, right? If you start letting, you know, maybe it's a small time problem, but if you don't get that problem kind of like removed, like a cancer cell. It just starts to metastasize, right? At first, it could just be a slight little thing, but you got to take it out at the first thing,
Yeah. I
or
think
it's
that's
gonna
exactly
just
what happened,
grow.
Dave, because Sutter is where it started, and now you remove Sutter, but it spread so
But it
much
just
that it
spread.
still lingered. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very,
Well,
very way to put it.
it spread so much that it looks like it's
It's
irreparable,
out of
right?
control. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Of these pieces here, like if we have to actually talk trade values, all this type of stuff, Toffoli, there's got to be a lot of teams interested in Toffoli. All of these guys, the other thing they have in common is that they're UFAs in 1 year. I think in a lot of cases they're going to be trying to negotiate extensions with these guys if you're trying to trade for them. I know this thing has been said about Craig Conroy not being able to make 4 or 5 trades in a week. Hello, have you met Danny Briere? We just talked about this guy. He's wheeling and dealing left, right, and center. If you want to do it, it's definitely possible. I also don't think it's the end of the world if you can't get it done in a week. Like you can still make these trades in July and August. I don't think it's ideal to bring them into camp. I do think that's the deadline is get these deals done before the season starts so that you can start getting that new team culture. So the thing is, when you're trading these guys, are you looking for just draft picks? Probably not. You have your Huberdeau, Kadri, and Uyghur and Markstrom long term. That is now your veteran core. You ideally have to supplement these guys with dudes in their prime, dudes in that 25 to 30-year-old range. That's basically what you're going to be looking for. I think you're going to be looking to make deals to win still. Maybe some more lateral type of moves, but I don't really think they can go
they can't.
totally in the tank here. They don't have their pick, which year I think that's either next year or 2025. So I believe Montreal has their pick from the Sean Monahan deal. So they're a
Mhm.
little bit handcuffed here. I do think they're going to try to what they could do is they could trade for draft picks and then flip those draft picks. That might be the way to go. You get the intermediary there that way. But I don't know if I don't know if we're going to see them tank next year. I think that'd be really surprising.
They can't. They don't have their
Yeah.
pick, and you're gonna get a situation with Ottawa a few years ago with the Byron pick, the one
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the pick moves if they take their pick, then it moves back to the one
Tyler
behind
Seguin,
it.
Dougie Hamilton. That's what it is with the Leafs.
Right. And I don't know because I like the pieces at Calgary. I'm a big Huberdeau guy. I think Kadri's great, and I think there's something there. But what is
It's going
there?
to be really
Nobody
tough
wants.
to if they lose these guys, like assuming they go for draft picks, if they do go for future capital, it is not going to look like a good roster. It's not.
No.
It's not going to look attractive at all.
The only
Even
good
with
thing you
UFA signings, there's
the
no one
only
in the UFA board that replaces those 4.
no,
And if you
it's
don't
brutal.
have an attractive roster and you have a roster that's not
Who's going to sign them
yeah, who's
without
gonna come
overpaying
there?
them?
Yeah.
And
The
Craig
o-
Conroy doesn't seem like the type to overpay. He seems like actually a pretty smart dude so far.
the only good thing you can say is that at least these guys have value. It's like they're not going to be paying people to take these guys. Lindholm, you can win a trade. NFM, you can definitely win a trade. Toffoli, someone will overpay for Toffoli, and Backlund, I think, has intrinsic value, and you can probably
I'd
get a lot from him
overpay
as well.
for
Pardon me?
I'd overpay for
I
Toffoli,
think I would
honestly.
too. I think I would too.
I
Yeah.
I
would.
think you can make
Yeah.
the argument that a team will pay for every single one of these guys, but I see Toffoli
Sure.
fetching a king's ransom,
Yeah,
and
probably. Or
Lindholm has to be
compared,
the crown jewel, though.
I
He's the
think
yes,
crown jewel.
yeah, of the 3, yeah, it's gonna be thing. I think Hannafin might be like the
He's
underrated
second.
pickup, honestly.
100%. 100%.
but but someone will pay a 1 value for Toffoli, even though he's the 3 on the list. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this is the thing, though. I feel like people are maybe not disrespecting Foley is the word here, but do you remember what Calgary traded to get Foley?
We are back from our break, so we we just got back from a situation where Christian asked us what did we get for Tyler, what did Calgary get trade for Tyler Toffoli, and I think I have an answer. I'm gonna say they just traded a first round pick and a body.
That's about
Uh
right. First round pick, Tyler Pitlick, Emil Heineman, who I don't think has turned into anything yet.
couple bodies.
5th round and a 4th round. If you're
There was
let's
like a
call
lot
that
of
like
pieces there.
it's pieces, but pieces of value. First
Yeah,
round pick.
the first, yeah.
First
Yeah,
round pick. So that's all they paid for him. Even when Vancouver acquired him, it was a 2nd, 4th. Tyler Madden. Tyler Madden, who once again hasn't touched the Kings roster that I know of.
I feel like
73 points in 82 games though is a career high on terms of goals and in terms of points.
he had 73 points last season.
73 points in 82 games.
Oh my goodness, that's a
Um,
lot for Toffoli.
yeah.
So
In
that's
Montreal, he had
trading at a
44 points in 52 games. So that was the lockout. I mean, the COVID shortened season. 28 goals in 52 games. That's still really good. And then before he was traded, 26 points in 37 games, only 9 goals though. He's been at about the same production rate. Slight uptick last year for sure. I almost wonder how much you can attribute that to him just succeeding under Daryl Sutter. That seems to be plays best under, to be honest. But he's once again he's an older player now. He is he's a rental unless you're extending him. I don't know. I'm looking at the price being a first and maybe a like a B plus prospect. I could see that being the return.
I
See a
think
team going two first, a first and a
Yeah.
high second, something like that.
I can see
Dude,
first and second. Yeah.
They'll
A
get their
first-
values worth.
a first and a body, something that Calgary could latch on to. I think
Body
right
of
now,
value.
I think right
Maybe
now
maybe
is,
someone they can actually put on the roster, right?
yeah.
23,
B-
24-year-old.
Dude, B plus prospect, yeah, 20. I would say like a 23. Somebody like the Leafs have a couple of guys where like I'm not gonna make it. I don't want to make it about the Leafs, but like I
I'm
don't know.
gonna speak from a
is-
point of reference. Yeah.
I don't know. Is Nick Robertson and a first enough to take that over the line?
You do that all day. I think that if you're the
I would do
Leafs,
that all day.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
I would
slam
do it
that.
too, right?
Yeah.
We would do it. Is Calgary taking like what
Exactly,
are their
exactly.
offers? Get
Yeah.
maybe that's the best offer Calgary could get for an expiring for a UFA like that. I
If
don't
you
know.
allow teams to talk extension with these guys, I think it can be more. So I
Oh,
think that's what they got to
100%.
do.
Yeah.
I think Hannafin specifically like that. Well, even Lindholm too. I don't think you trade those guys without extensions involved. There's one rental guy or one like expiring UFA we haven't heard a report on yet, and I'm curious to see what's up with this guy, Chris Tanev. He's also got 1 year left. I think he's making 4.2. You telling me teams are going to be interested in Chris Tanev?
He's
He
gonna
I
go
hasn't
think
hit
that's
to,
going to
the
be interesting to hear
he
about.
I feel
hasn't
like
hit
he's
the
gonna go
eject
to
button, right?
Seattle.
Seattle with the
He's
Tanev
gonna go
bro.
play
I
with
would
his
love
brother,
that.
the
I would
Bash
totally
brothers.
love that. As a Susie replacement, that actually makes lots of sense. Dave, I think you might have sniped that, to be honest. Record somebody
That's just
clip
like
this and we'll
top
go
of my
back to it in
head.
2 weeks.
Top of my
Okay.
head, I'm like, dude, I could see him going to play with his brother, honestly.
Oh yeah.
And
There's actual fit there too. Like it's
Yeah.
perfect. That's perfect. Okay.
I don't know. Like that would be interesting. But then again, that's another excellent player that's leaving Calgary.
Yeah.
And for
At this
what?
point, if you're getting rid of 4 excellent players,
Just tear it down.
might as well get rid
Yeah.
of 5, right?
Yes. Okay. Are we good in Calgary? Do you guys want to move on?
I think we're good.
I don't know. Is there a way out for Calgary in the near future? Like
Do they even have-
their prospect pool is, I would say,
okay.
rather.
Isn't it just
it's
the goalie?
just kind of mediocre, honest. There's
Yeah,
nothing,
there's no star. There's no Dustin Wolf is the crown jewel in goal.
Dustin Wolf. You have Matthew Coronado, who should be playing a full season next year.
Pelletier.
Jacob Pelletier, who
Zary is a
unfortunately got-
guy who's like on the fringe, probably needs another AHL year. They had that really small dude that played a game against the Leafs, played his debut. Matthew Phillips, I think is his name.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah.
another guy. There's a world where maybe with the exodus of these guys, the remaining players in the room say, we now are the misfits. We are the misfits. All these guys left us. We got a new coach, and maybe that's actually the cultural rejuvenation that they need. I can see them being like in the contention for wild card somehow. I could see them. You signed some UFA guys, and for whatever reason, the mix just works slightly better.
Maybe it's like there was maybe too much of a logjam up with Calgary over the past 2 years. Like you have Chuck, you have Kachuk, you have Gaudreau, you had Lindholm, you had Backlund, you had like Backlund's been there for 15 years. Like you're gonna take him off the roster all of a sudden. And that's just like at Ford. There's like what, six, 7 guys there. So how many spots are you fighting for in the bottom of the lineup? On D, they've had their D locked up basically for the past 3 years. Like Shillington, we said Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin.
They also have Uyghur signed for like the next eternity.
I mean, they just got Uyghur as well, who's on 8 years. Like Like those are a lot of established pieces already on that team. Maybe
Time
this
to
is
turn it
going to be
over.
maybe this is going to be the best. Like this is going to be Craig Conroy's team.
Yeah.
Kevin Conroy, my boy. I made that mistake yesterday. Never going to make it again.
I
Thanks
saw
to
that.
thanks to
I
one
saw
guy in
that.
our comment section on the BD Sports article. He like literally it was basically a DM that we all that or at least I
Kevin
got it on my
Conroy, give me a
phone.
break.
I got a
Dave.
thing on my phone saying like this is like somebody responded to the
Come
article.
on now.
I was like, damn, that
Oh,
hurts.
it happens, but you know what doesn't happen?
I
Not having
got
your
two more things though.
2025, not having a 25 first round pick that Montreal has. And
Yeah.
if you just compare Montreal,
Yeah.
what they have now to Calgary, man, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Like Montreal, you're
100%.
looking up. Like Calgary,
Oh yeah.
if you gotta feel for the
Calgary's
Calgary
in
fans.
pain.
I think
Two things.
Okay,
Sorry,
go.
Dave. Go ahead.
I think the only thing I was going to say, I think the one saving grace for Calgary is that they're in a pretty weak division. So, like you said before,
Are they though?
I
well,
honestly
I mean,
don't think they are, man.
well, dude, you have 3 teams that are straight up not competing. So that's not putting you right
Yeah,
at the bottom
but
of
You got
the
3 that are the other 3 are really
yeah,
good.
the other
contenders.
so that's the thing.
Sorry, the
right?
other 4. The other 4.
You need to be better than 4 other teams instead of 6 or 7. Like you have 3 that are if you're able to pick off points of those bottom feeder teams, you might be able to squeak in to a wild card spot.
Exactly. There's no. I don't see any.
Oh, they're not going into top 3.
They're not top 3.
There's no way.
There's no
There's no
world.
way.
There's
You
no
have the
world. So you're
cup
in the wild
winner.
card fight.
You have the cup winner, McDavid and his band of merry men, McDavid and Draisaitl and his band of merry men.
LA, Seattle,
and LA and Seattle, right? But you're not squeezing
4
into
teams that are probably better than you right off the
top
bat.
3. But if
Yeah.
if you're able to stave off those central teams,
yeah,
there might there's a chance.
There's a world. There's a path.
There's a world that
How much of this path is dependent on Jacob Markstrom just being good
a lot
again?
of it.
Right.
There's a lot of
so
it.
that's the one thing. My other point now. Damn it. I'm already forgetting my other point.
Sorry.
I lost it.
No,
It's okay.
what about this? So we talked about Danny Briere undoing Chuck Fletcher's curse, doing God's work and fixing everything up. How much work does Conroy have to do to undo Tree Living's decision?
I don't know, but I don't think Tree Living said to Foley or whatever, like, "Hey, leave." I don't know if that's Tree Living
but
doing that.
But
and it also wasn't Tree Living that wanted Sutter.
No, it's not. But
so,
where I'm going with this is
I don't even think this is Tree Living's I don't think it's a mess. All you need is all you needed was buy-in from these guys, and this is
pretty. But
that's
I do wonder if we're just trying to defend the Leafs GM right now. I would definitely mean they were biased.
Dave,
now.
They're
definitely biased, but it's tough.
But
how is this not a mess? We talked about 20 minutes about how.
The situation,
but is it a GM mess?
I don't think it's the Chuck Fletcher willingly sank his team. Chuck Fletcher, right?
Okay.
Brad Tree Living built this team. Brian, you said it yourself. You're a big fan of Huberdeau. You're a big fan of Weegar. I wasn't even a big fan of those two. But if you run the exact same team that you had last year, if you run them back this year under leadership, maybe you name somebody like Michael Backlund. Brian,
but Dave,
the Calgary Flames lost 17 overtime games this year.
Yes, but hear me out.
But 10 plus overtime games at least.
Like you said, the cancer's spread out already. You can't undo that. It doesn't work that way. You can't say, what if this, what if that. The situation we have here is that half your team wants to leave.
I think it all started with Sutter. That's where it started with. And it wasn't his hire. And the reason he left is because he couldn't fire Sutter. And then they fired him. I don't know how much to put on Brian. I think it is as simple as Dave said. If these Exodus players that we're talking about weren't leaving, I don't think we're talking about it like this. And I don't know how much there's on him.
Then let me rephrase this then. You have 4 upcoming UFAs next season.
Sure.
That's a mess. That's a line in your top defenseman.
But you can still.
It's a lot.
You're going to trade them. It all depends on what value Conroy gets. And I think same thing. If Brad was in this situation, it all depends on what value Brad would have got out of it.
But this goes back to my point, right? It's Conroy's job now to fix everything. It's Conroy's job to clean it up. He's a janitor right now. The kids made the mess.
The thing was the Flames wanted to bring back Brad, and it was Brad that left on his own accord. So
Yeah.
they would have given Brad the chance to be the janitor, and he turned it down.
But the reason for that was he would have been the janitor or whatever if it was
He
a janitor.
wanted the other
I don't
janitor
even
out.
I don't even think it was gonna be it was gonna be one of those types of situations, because I
That's
think he
true.
probably would have got commitment. All he needed was the other guy
Yeah.
to go, but they
Yeah.
weren't willing to commit to that, and then they kind of got
And then they
cold
did.
feet on Sutter, and then he's
Okay.
out too, and now you have to
So-
scramble and you have to internal hire. Like,
Here's my Brian. Do you have one more thing to add? I also got a closing note on Calgary. It's a question to pose to you guys.
I was just gonna say, like, this is a problem. Like, whatever is going on in Calgary, like, you cannot
Sure.
understate
it's
that. Like,
dysfunctional,
Sure.
100%.
Sure.
There is a
Fair enough.
dysfunctionality, I
Yes.
have to say. And another thing with Calgary, have we seen this coming? Like, I think this has kind of been foreshadowed. Like, they've been trying to get out of the Saddle Dome for 10 years. They haven't been able to secure funding. Their ownership situation's a mess as well.
The
They
hockey
finally
gods,
did though. Like the arena is happening now. Thank God.
the hockey
After-
gods.
after
finally
after
happening.
12 years, I think, right?
They
Like, there
foreshadowed
was
the-
at least 3 different like rejections that they got to build new ground, basically, right?
The hockey gods foreshadowed the failure of the team's on ice performance with the building's failure to stand up.
Okay, I got one note here, guys. This is a fun one. I'm just confirming with my sources. My sources as in cap friendly. Okay. If Backlund leaves, who is the longest tenured Calgary Flame left on the roster?
Right. Does this include the other people who
Everyone else can stay. Just Backlund has to go. Who is the longest tenured Flame on the Flames roster? You can look at the names, just don't bring up cap friendly, look at their roster, and just look at the names and be like, who the hell has been here forever?
Oh, I know the answer. It's Stone.
Okay, I'm gonna confirm. Let me double check to see if you've got an answer.
because
here.
I was gonna say Chris Tanev.
You don't. Okay, no, both are wrong. No, it is
Both are wrong?
yeah.
Is it a
No.
forward or a D?
It is a defenseman. It's a
Okay.
defenseman.
I want to say Shillington then.
Yep.
Shillington?
26-year-old Oliver Shillington would be the longest tenured Flame because
He
he
was
played
drafted
games.
there, right?
Well, and I'm talking in terms of actual games played. Like when is the first game that he played for the Flames? Shillington played 1 game for the Flames in 2015-16.
And was he
No
not
other
drafted
player.
in 2015?
He was
Or
drafted
2014?
2015. Yeah.
So he
had got into 1
he
game
got
that year.
games right out. Yeah, that
That's
makes
kind of
sense.
crazy.
That is very crazy.
No one's been
That
on their
is
team since 15, 16.
Your longest tenured Flame is going to be a 26-year-old who missed all of last season due to injury. He's only
That's another
played
thing
so
too. I forgot about
yeah,
I forgot
exactly,
about that, dude. You
exactly.
bring it back and you have him
So-
there. Like,
yeah. So drafted in
Ugh.
2015.
Tough.
How many NHL games does Oliver Shillington have under his belt?
how many NHL games does
Shillington, how many has he played?
I'm gonna say 640. I don't know.
555?
168.
What?
What? That's low.
So wait,
Yeah,
after
man.
after 15-16, did he go back down for another year or
So-
two?
After playing 1 game in 2015-16, Oliver Shillington did not play for the Flames again until 2018-19.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense then. Because
So,
I don't remember
What a weird development curve.
What?
I don't
Oh,
remember talk of Shillington until like 20. I want to say probably 2018 when he started
Yeah.
getting full time.
So he played in 18-19, played 38 games. In 19-20, played 48. That was the COVID shortened year. 2021, he only played 8 games. So that is the proper that's the North Division. Only played 8 games that year. Played 73 games in 21-22, put up 31 points. Great year, was doing very well for them, and then missed all of last year.
Yeah.
This guy's barely played. Injuries galore.
Between injuries, he's probably only, I think realistically, he's only played 1.5 full NHL seasons.
Yeah, he's played 1 full season and 2 half seasons. It's basically all he's got. It's
And he's
crazy. As a
isn't he
2015 pick, the
Yeah.
McDavid draft. How many like McDavid? If we went on his thing, he's probably
And it's
played like
someone
700 games,
he's
600
someone
games.
who Flames
Maybe I'm a
fans
little high on that.
he's someone who fans love, and he's
Yeah.
someone who's he's kind of been like one of the rocks on. It kind of feels like been one of the rocks on that team over the past couple of years, but he hasn't played the past. I
played.
think maybe it's
you
just
gotta
that.
feel for it, man.
Yeah.
100 games in like
Wow,
almost a decade. That's not a
Yeah.
lot.
like half a
Okay,
decade,
that's a lot of Flames talk.
There's one more thing I just wanted to
too
Oh,
much
go
flame
ahead.
say
stock for
about
my
Calgary.
liking. Honestly,
Thank you for sending your the Wranglers coach to DC.
Oh,
Love
Is that
adding
Mitch
him.
Love?
Mitch Love.
I'm
Yep.
so
two-time
mad.
two-time
I'm so
AHL
mad.
coach of the year. I heard
You don't know
all the
how
stats
mad.
about him. Man,
I would have been nice as even just as a Leafs assistant coach, but no, we need someone with head coaching experience. And
Goes to DC.
I swear, man, I swear, if we hire
Oh,
Todd Nelson, nothing against Todd
someone
Nelson,
with
He's an AHL champion. I don't
someone
know.
with
but he's also
coaching
his head
experience?
coaching experience was on a terrible Oilers team with Nail Yakupov. You call that head coaching experience? That's none better than Dallas Aikens. Okay, like that's what his head coaching experience is.
So I don't get why the NHL coaching experience, like for the Leafs, for them, like I get why, like it looks better on the resume. Like if you could say
They just
we have
want the Grim Reaper. They're hiring the Grim Reaper, so if they fire Keefe, they can put in that guy as the interim.
I don't
That's
get
what it is. That's what it
two-time
is.
coach of the year compared to did Todd Nelson got.
He honestly
won the
might be a
Calder.
two-time champion. He might be a two-time Calder champion. But I think that Mitch Love is just more new age, and we've seen Todd
Yeah.
Nelson in the NHL. I'd rather take a chance on Mitch Love as an assistant coach. Like if we're keeping Keefe, I still would have wanted him in the exact same role that he's going to be in Washington. On the Flames thing, one more thing. They hired Mark Savard, who is another guy who actually wouldn't have minded as a Leafs assistant coach. Also,
like that
shout out
move.
to the Hershey Bears on the Calder Cup. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of Calgary talk.
Yeah.
Let's keep. Unfortunately, we're gonna keep in the same division. Kinda. Pierre-Luc Dubois to LA.
Oh my God, we should have parked
God.
maybe even a bit
I
more
hate
time
that
on this.
guy.
Okay, I had a thought last night that I stopped giving to you guys. I said I have something on Dubois and then I said, you know what? No, I'm gonna save this
Okay.
for the pod.
Hit us.
So all this talk about like Montreal, destined for Montreal, is gonna go to Montreal. All this stuff. I don't think it's Dubois who changed his mind on Montreal. I think it's Montreal who realized we shouldn't make this stupid decision and acquire this guy. I think Montreal, we got to give them kudos and credit for being smart and being okay with not having Pierre-Luc Dubois because they're totally fine without him. They don't need him. And if they're not going to accommodate him and sign for a reasonable deal, then they don't need him. They can live life totally fine without Pierre-Luc Dubois. They're the ones who turned down Dubois. It wasn't Dubois who changed his mind and said, I like LA more than Montreal. I think Dubois wants to be in Montreal, but Montreal is totally fine without him. That's what I think.
And I kind of like this idea too, given the fact that they have such a high pick this year. And
I hate that I like it. I hate that I like what Montreal's doing. I hate it. I hate it. Dude, and they were not going to sign it. The reported number is $9 million. If you're signing Pierre-Luc Dubois for $9 million, 9 by 8, Montreal's guys just committed to their team for under $8 million to stay under Nick Suzuki. They were not going to disrupt that culture for Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's not a better player than Nick Suzuki or Cole Caulfield. Kudos to Montreal.
I'll be honest with you though, seeing all those pictures of Dubois in Montreal with Cole Caulfield makes you think like, was he playing the strings? He was even at a Montreal Impact game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was at the F1
with David Savard.
Yeah. Noted Montreal Canadian.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but also noted former Columbus Blue Jackets teammate. Oh. No, he's a Montreal Canadian.
He's a hab.
He's a hab.
Christian,
I still don't. I honestly don't even get why LA's making this deal.
They don't. Yeah, it's so true, man. I don't like it for LA either, and I'm mad because I actually really liked LA's roster construction. If they end up giving up Velarde and one of Iafallo or Arvidsson, I don't like it.
That's two key. Like, dude, if
is Gabe Velarde not Dollarson, because that's honestly, if Gabe Velarde is healthy, he gives you, I'd say, 75% of what Dubois gives you.
On
Yeah.
top of
I
whatever
agree, and that's what I think.
Arvidsson.
Exactly. And you're not paying Velarde $9 million.
I thought Winnipeg was gonna get shafted out of this deal, but if they're able to pull out even one of those two guys, one of the three guys that we mentioned, plus I think a pick was going to go back the other way too. Winnipeg's laughing.
Well done,
Like,
well done, Chevy. And I don't even like
man.
Shovel Day Off. Yeah,
So-
so Iafallo is on $4 million for this year and next year. I would laugh my head off if this deal goes down and Velarde and Iafallo both outpace Dubois.
Yeah,
I don't
it would make
think
me
it's
feel bad because
it's
I really
possible.
want LA to succeed. I
do
the
too,
pieces
but
that they have there, but
if they get Dubois, they go down the rankings.
I can't behind it. Yeah, I can't get behind
instantly
it.
go down a little bit.
They're my least favorite Pacific team, and that division also has the Anaheim Ducks in it. Like, what's there to like about them?
It's true.
Actually, Mason McTavish, but whatever.
Yeah, they got a number 2 pick now too. If they just change the jerseys, they're instantly likable. I say this every episode.
They're a top tier contender there.
Now let me ask you guys this. This is Dubois on low value in the sense that he's been personally going out of his way to tank his value.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, imagine if he was like.
But he also had 60 points, I think, this year.
And you know what? Listen, he had a really good playoff series against Vegas. He was really good. I'm going to pull up his numbers now to confirm. But I remember people being like, that's the Pierre-Luc Dubois that we need. And then he said, yeah, you want me to play like this? Actually, I'm gone.
He lost his playoff round, then he went to go hang out with Cole Caulfield right after.
Yeah.
Come on.
So 4 points in 5 playoff games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Like, he was one of their better players. In that bubble season with Columbus, where they beat the Leafs in the play-in series, he had 10 points in 10 games. Season before that, 5 points in 10 games. He had 4 points in 6 games. He's actually been really steady in the playoffs. 26 points in 38 games. Decent, pretty good. Back-to-back 60-point seasons, but 60 points is like, it feels like we're talking about who knows what here. We're gonna pay a guy $9 million for 60 points. It really does seem insane to me. I'm gonna pull up Velarde because he had a good season this year. I'm just curious how far off he was. 41 points in 63 games. Over 82 games, what is that? Let's say like 55, 59. This guy almost had Dubois' season. And he had 4 points in 5 games too.
For significantly less money. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the move.
Don't like it. And it hasn't happened yet. Once again, it's the Philly St. Louis stuff, the LA Winnipeg stuff, all still talk. No deal finalized, but both look like they're heading in a direction of at least some part of the deals getting done.
The only thing I could say for this deal is that both Kopitar and Danault are starting to get up there in age. So I think maybe the hope in a few years, if this deal goes through, is that Byfield and Dubois take over as the 1-2 punch there.
I kind of liked the idea of having like 2 veteran defensive centers as your 1 and 2, and then just letting the wingers battle it on winning off that, because I kind of like what they had there. I'll be honest with you.
There's a world in where this looks really good as a hockey team. I just don't. It gives me the ick. Like, this could totally succeed.
I'm not in love with it. Yeah. Okay. So we have our 90-50-10 predictions for the 2023 entry draft. Are you guys ready? Do you guys have your 90s?
I do.
Yeah.
I think this is a fun way to play it around and see what happens in the draft. Dave, do you want to start out with your 90? Because I know yours. Let's open it with a bang. Sure. I know your 90 is going to be.
Sure. All 3 of them are going to be bombastic. So, for my 90, I think the Flames are going to be the one to make a big trade. You know,
that's your 90. That's my 10.
The Flames are going to be. If there's always going to be one trade at the draft that everybody's like, wow. And I think the Flames are going to either get rid of Toffoli or Hannafin. I think they could do a package deal. I think that's what I would expect. I'd say that's maybe huge. Both. I did 2 of the both. 4. If they put 2 of the 4 in the deal, like, let's say if like, God forbid someone gets Lindholm and Hannafin in the same deal. Oh man,
Jesus Christ, right? Like, that's what it. Yeah. I like that, Dave. I like that.
Hopefully it's not you guys because that's all I've been hearing about you guys the past little bit.
Oh, dude,
But
It's more
Leafs
Leafs
to
talk than it's Flames
Yeah.
Hannafin
whispers,
to
but
Leafs. Yeah, it's
yeah.
been insane.
And can we just like move Toronto to the US just for Hannafin? Like, I'll do it. We can do it. We can join the US just to get Hannafin, man.
I mean, we're pretty close. We're like on the border, basically.
Yo, you listen, Jake McCabe had 6 of 7 Canadian teams on his no trade list. You know which one wasn't? Ask Jake
Toronto.
McCabe. Hannafin, go talk to Jake McCabe.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
All
There's
right,
a reason we're
Chris,
called the Hollywood North for like, you know.
no one calls you that. Okay.
NBA players love it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just call
Anyway.
him. Just call him Hannafin. Just call him.
Christian, what is your 90?
Okay, my 90 is that a goalie will be drafted in the first round, specifically Michael Rabal. Have you guys heard of Michael Rabal?
It's a
I'm
Swiss
not.
Czechia goalie.
Czech guy. Yeah.
Check out.
He's a Czech guy. I'll tell you some of his stats here. He played this year in the USHL for the Omaha Lancers. In 31 games, he had a 908 save percentage, 286 goals against average. Nothing crazy.
Playoffs.
He did play in the U18s for Czechia. In his U18 career, 13 games played, 927 save percentage. Pretty good. Pretty good numbers for Michael Rabal. He's got a commitment in the NCAA next year. He's going to be playing with the University of Massachusetts. But the only number that really matters here is his height. Michael Rabal is 6'7". Michael Rabal will be drafted in the first round. Congrats.
Wait,
Yeah, that's it.
he's getting drafted to the NHL or the NBA?
Hey man, listen. What's Grady Dick? I think Grady Dick is like 6'7".
I think he's 6'7".
We can have him. That's the new backcourt. Okay.
Michael Rabal is
Point guard Michael Rabal
is either an NHL prospect or an NBA point guard.
Yeah,
There's no in between.
That's funny, man. So
Okay.
listen, he could be the next Ben Bishop. If I had to pick a team that I think is going to snag him, and I've seen this on mock drafts too, so I'm not like pretending to be some kind of genius here. But San Jose makes so much sense. Those guys don't have a goalie prospect, and he's projected like 20 to 30 in terms of where he could be picked. I
Do they
believe
have
San
two
Jose is not
firsts?
number 26.
Yeah.
They do have 2 firsts. But my next prediction in the 50s will coincide with my 90s. So we'll get back to
Okay.
this. But Michael Rabal, first round, that's my 90.
My 90 also does coincide with my 50. And my
Okay.
90 is no matter where Montreal drafts, they will select from the US program. So
Okay.
Montreal has had a lot of success with the US program. Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson come to mind right off the bat. There's been a lot of rumors that they're kind of interested in Ryan Leonard. I kind of like that fit, but they picked 5. And who's 5? Who's projected typically to go 5? Will Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I think this coincides with my 90 is that apparently Montreal really like Ryan Leonard. Ryan Leonard is supposed to go 8 through 10. And this coincides with my 90 because I think that the Washington Capitals have a 50% chance of moving up in the draft.
Ooh.
Dude, I got that at like 0.
Right. I think we have the same not kind of like on the same terms for the 50
Same
because
idea.
my 50 is that one of the top 10 picks gets traded. So
does that include like outright traded or traded in terms of could be moved up? Just has to be a trade.
could be
involving
moved
a top
yeah,
team. Okay.
a trade.
There's some type of
involving-
movement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So
my
those are your
reason
guys-
my reasoning for
Yeah.
this is because if Montreal want Ryan Leonard, they can still get him at 8. But Washington, we want Mishkov.
Want Mitch
The whole
Koff.
fan base is raving about it. I know for a fact that Ovechkin has a really important Russian guy on speed dial that could probably get the contract broken a little bit earlier than we need to, a year or 2 early. We've seen it with Ivan Miroshchenko already. Okay, maybe I'm just manifesting, but
No,
I wanted
Brian-
I wanted Bedard. Can't get that. I think that Mishkov would be a nice consolation prize.
So Brian, I want to say one thing to you. So when we sat here and you were trying to manifest Bedard to happen, I was sitting here like it'd be hilarious. It would be so hilarious if it actually did happen. Because I was like, you guys are just outside of that range, like where it could happen, but you guys got to move up. You guys had to move up like what, 8 spots? 7 spots to get him. It's like you guys are just short. I think if you guys maybe finish like 5 or 4, there'd be a good chance. But the whole Mitchkov thing just seems tailor made for you guys. And you guys are
It
picking
is.
8 as well. Dude, the headlines are already being written. But I don't, you know what? If you guys do pick them, it probably wouldn't be at 8. So then that kind of, whatever. But, I could still hope. But 100%, Fry, I'm completely on board. You guys are going to go out of your way to get Mitchkov, dude. I think that pick won't be picked by the Caps. Who did you say? So who are we thinking? It's going to be 5. So the Habs would move
I think we'll
down.
go to 5 Montreal. But there's also been rumors that Montreal are in love with Zach Benson and David
Yeah.
Reinbacher.
I've seen Zach Benson going as low as like 17 though.
I've listened to a Capitals podcast recently. The scout that they had on, in love with Zach Benson. Apparently, he's the best two-way guy in this draft, and apparently he's also the engine.
Better than Dvorsky?
From what I've
Isn't Dvorsky a two-way guy?
Dalibor Dvorsky.
From what I've
It's a
heard from this
solid name.
scout, from what I've heard from this scout in the WHL, Zach Benson, fantastic pick.
Sure.
Doesn't sound the same as Mishkov though. I like the
So-
sound of Mishkov a lot more.
I'm going to give you some teams that could throw a wrench into this. But I do want to say Michkov in Washington is not only a great fit for the Caps, it's a great fit for Michkov. Like it really does make a lot more sense for him in Washington than some of these other teams, just in terms of how early it could come to the NHL, getting acclimated to the league. It makes a lot of sense in Washington. A lot. But teams that I could see throwing a wrench into
San
this
Jose.
are basically teams that have a long ass rebuild. San Jose is one of them at number 4.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is another one.
Anaheim.
But I'll give you a team that isn't in the top 10 that I think could enter the top 10 because they have 2 picks in the first round in the I believe in the teens. I'm gonna double check here. They have this pick and what other pick do they have? So the team I'm thinking of is Nashville. I think Nashville, we already had a rumor that they're going to be trying to enter the top 10. They have 15 and 24. So it's actually not as enticing as I thought. But I think this is a team that we know is going to go balls to the walls because Barry Trotz has said it in his interviews. I love it, man. The guy said, I'm going to let my scouts take wherever they want. Go high risk. I'll get the plugs. He basically had a line where he said that. And
That's the
we've
way
seen
to do
his
it, too.
trades. He's ballsy. And I'm loving it. And I think Barry Trotz is a guy who I could totally see try and get into the top 10 to draft Michkov because they have a bit of a Russian connection already. They have Askarov. So they're not afraid, I don't think, as an organization.
Askarov?
To enter.
Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait,
but if I have to present my alternate, that's what it is. That's my dark horse Michkov team to enter the top 10. This wasn't part of my 90-50-10, but yeah. So you guys said your 50s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to hit us with your 50?
Okay. So my 50 is that the Maple Leafs will be trading their first round pick at 28. However, general, trading the pick, listen, them trading the pick is 100%. We got to split the 100% into 2 50-50s here. The 50-50 is if it involves Matt Murray or not. So that's where I went with this.
Bye, Seth Jarvis.
Oh, stop. That hurts.
Quentin Musty, new Seth Jarvis. Oh God, yeah, please don't. But listen. Just as I was talking about with San Jose and Michael Rabal at 26. Hey, San Jose, would you like another pick? I can give you another pick to take on Matt Murray. They're the team that makes the most sense to me to take on Matt Murray, maybe outside of Chicago, but I really don't see them doing this 2 times in a row. It seems kind of weird.
I'm convinced Chicago wants to compete as early as next year. I don't think that they're willing to take.
Okay, so if that's the case, I don't think they want the
injury
Murdoch.
prone.
San Jose is not competing. They would love the Murdoch. Okay, come get the Murdoch. We will give you a first. You can give us a third. We'll move back 50 picks. We'll do that. That's 50% chance that Murray's involved with this first round pick deal. My other 50 is that they, as we've seen in rumors, just try and get immediate help with this pick. And I think it just makes total sense of what we've been hearing once again, rumor wise. Scott Lawton, I've been banging this drum for a while, and a new guy's entered the picture in Travis Sanheim, who people are trying to say, yeah, he's been connected to the Leafs too. I think it's very likely that Tree Living gets a defenseman over the offseason. Sanheim might be his guy. I don't know if I'm totally sold on it, but I think it's in the realm of possibility that there's something involving Lawton and Sanheim if that St. Louis deal isn't as big as we thought. It's probably more than just the first, but I
Like
think it's the starting
Robertson,
point.
one of their
And yeah,
I could get
prospects.
behind that, honestly.
yeah. So I
I'll,
think there's something there.
I'll be honest with you guys. If that's the trade, if that's what happens, I absolutely love Sanheim on Toronto. I think Sanheim's already a good player. Actually, I'll even say
He had
great.
a terrible year. He had a bad year, but when he's
Like,
healthy, he's good.
but Philly, come on, right?
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think that
Exactly.
that like Sanheim would be a piece to flourish under you guys, right?
It's a huge risk.
It is,
6.25 by 8. His
but if
extension kicks in this year.
but if but if
He's 27. You're paying him until he's 35.
but if that's the risk you take to get Lawton on for your prime years, I mean, you guys are in win now
That's
mode.
part of this.
You
You
just
got
do
to
it.
think it's buy low on Sanheim, right? That's part of it.
If you guys have to take an L, like
Yeah.
a potential L for a guaranteed, actually, you know what? I'll even say a surefire guaranteed 3CW. I think you do it. Lawton apparently is fantastic. Apparently he's the right fit for you guys, and apparently that's the rumor. I'd like to see that move. And before I get into our tens, we're just okay. We are back from our little break. Okay, so Christian's 10% prediction was that the least first round pick would be moved.
That's my 50.
That's
That's my
50.
50.
Sorry, yeah. Christian's 50% was that the least first round pick would be moved. We don't know if it was split into two. We don't know if it was for Lawton
It might
or
involve
whoever,
Matt Murray or might not.
or it might be a cap dump for Matt Murray. So my 10 is pretty similar. My 10 is that the Flyers will move one of either or Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, Sanheim, or Lawton or Hart before the 32nd pick, along with the Flames moving one of Toffoli, Backlund, Hannafin, or Lindholm by pick 32. So
They're
both of
saying
them.
that they're
So
that
these are
they're
both day
gonna
one
do
deals.
it together. Are they?
No,
what
no,
if they
they're not
do it
together.
Okay.
So this
But, like-
is you're doing a parlay here, Brian. You got two
Yes.
bets in one here, eh?
Parlay
You
your
parlayed.
your 10% pick. Oh man.
So before-
that's a tough one.
What's the
What are the
payout on
odds
this,
on
Brian?
this? Yeah, what are the odds on this?
apparently 10%, but one
Plus 10,000.
the Flyers
Yeah.
will move one of their guys, and Calgary will move one of their guys by pick
So-
32.
Okay.
Brian, why would you do this? You've handicapped yourself here. So you're basically saying both have to happen. If one happens, you don't
Yeah.
get the credit.
You're
man.
not getting early payout here, Bri.
Yeah, no.
No, no early payout, but I'm pretty confident that
Okay.
Danny Briere, the man with the hot hand, the guy that wants to slam the button, will make something happen. I also think that Conroy over in Calgary wants
And
to
Kevin.
do something quickly. And apparently, if these guys are already wanting out, he does not want to live through Kachuk Gaudreau 2.0. He's already said that. Make it happen.
Yeah.
And make my
And
parlay
you also handicap yourself by saying buy pick 32.
By
What if
pick
it
30
happens like 2
Why?
hours after? No, actually, no, that counts. 2 hours after counts because it has to be start of the draft, end of the draft. That was the rules that we did here. Okay,
Why do I say before pick 32 in the sense that
got to use the first.
Exactly. He's going to try to
Sure.
aim for a first round
Yeah.
pick just because of the fact that it's a strong draft.
Fair enough.
I don't think we'll see a type of trade like that after the first day. I'll be honest with you. Like,
No, it's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
Because
so I think
it
that's
is the first factor. It's the first rounder factor. Yeah, it's a good one, Brian.
That's a tough
I hope
one,
that
but-
comes through, man.
I
I
don't
hope.
know who's it going to be between Sanheim, Konechny, Law, and Hart. I don't know who's it going to be between Backlund, Foley, Hannafin, Lindholm. What I will say is that I want to see a blockbuster. And I think
I'd
we're in
say
for
they
one.
trade with each other, but that's not going to happen.
No,
unfortunately. no.
Did all of us have something to do with like a trade between one of those two teams? So if
Well, I've got the 50-50, and I assume Flyers for the Leafs. So
okay, so
Yeah.
so that means that because my 90 was that what was it? It
Flames.
was that the Flames were gonna make a move. So if that
Yeah.
hits on both of like we're playing bingo here, us three. You know what I mean? Like one knocks off two people's
we should have contacted a sports book because like when you do betting, you can
yeah.
you can do you can email them and say, what are your odds for this custom idea I have? And they'll answer you and they'll be like, you want to make this bet? Sure, here's our odds. We should have done that, boys.
We should have done with that one company. It's like you could bet anything.
But is it Botano? I think. Now
Is
we're
it
naming
Botano?
names. No, I think so.
Yeah,
So
I
I
don't wanna-
think I don't know.
No free marketing.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
So could you imagine if, like, my 90, my 50, and my 2-part 10 all hit, like what would you think the payout would be? I think it's got to be at least plus 1,500.
Oh my god. Oh, I think more than
Yeah.
that.
If you're
Like,
Dude, to
parlaying
hit
all
a
three, man, yeah, dude, to hit
Yeah.
your 10% would have been more than 1,500.
yeah, I
Plus
think
your
your
50 and your
10% would
90,
have been.
poo,
Yeah.
done, man.
You
Your
retire.
10% would have been like 1,500 at least.
I honestly should see if the Michael Rabal one is a real thing, because they'll have like mock draft prop bets where it's like over under for position. So I wonder what Michael Rabal's
It
over
would
under for
probably be.
position is.
Would it probably
It's
be
probably like
like
26 or something like
first
that.
goalie? Yours was
Oh, that's a
he's
good.
the first. Yours was
Goalie is drafted in the first round, and I've
okay.
named my guy. It's gonna be a Rabal,
Okay.
Mr. 6 foot
I think
7
you probably
Rabal.
could because that would be first goalie taken then, and you put Michael Rabal.
Maybe, yeah. I gotta
Yeah.
investigate after. I'll investigate. Okay, Dave, did you say you're 10?
No, I didn't. So my 10
Okay.
is I'm gonna go. We're gonna go big here. The Russian machine, Matvey Michkov, will be taken second overall.
Ooh,
No.
I like how we had all this
reasoning-
Michkov talk. I like
My
it.
reasoning for this is the Ducks kind of have, they're starting to see a little bit of like down the middle. They've got a couple guys there that could fill in, for the next couple of years. Do you want another center? For sure, 100%. Or do you want the guy with potential, like his ceiling? Like, we don't really realistically know what Matvey Michkov's ceiling is. I think Brian,
Some
you
people
alluded to it
say
before.
it's like Bedard. Some people say he's better at some things than Bedard.
By all metrics, a couple of years ago, he was the consensus first overall pick before
He was
Bedard.
outperforming Bedard in some of like the younger tournaments, like the Ivan Halinga and the under 18, under 17s. He was doing like
recently
great record stuff.
He just played in a men's league. The last, top prospect to do one of that was wink, wink, Austin Matthews, right? Austin Matthews was playing in the Swiss league his draft year. Another thing to add on to this is, like, listen, I know there's been reports on his character and that type of stuff, but you think the type of situation that's like over the past week, look at what's been going on in Russia, right? Let alone extrapolate that over the past 2 years while this guy's been, talked about
Even
as
just
the
his
next
personal
big,
struggles. Right? Like
and
he's
that
gone
was
through
my
stuff,
next
man.
point there. The
Yeah.
personal struggles. I think I don't know. I just, for some reason, I could just see the big shock coming out. I feel bad for Fantilli because now he's been the one who's like, oh, consensus second overall pick. It's going to be Adam Fantilli. I feel bad for the guy. Canadian kid seems like a nice guy as well.
I think
it's
that
crazy because if you took away all the context surrounding these players and if you just said rank them by who's the best or worst, just purely just the player
Purely
itself, you probably
hockey?
put in Michkov too. So it would be a shock, and yet at the same time, we would look back and say, of course they took him second.
Context is going to be key 10 years from now, right? Like, look at all the external factors. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe he has the talent and he just can't translate it, right? He's maybe in the long run, it's actually a bad decision to take. I don't know if Neil Yakupov had this much talent, though. You know what I mean?
He definitely had the character issues.
Definitely had the character issues, 100%. Maybe in the long run, it's a bad look, but I think it's a risk for Anaheim, who's probably about 3 years away from being anything. And that's lining up with the timeline for Michkov.
I personally think that Anaheim is maybe farther along than we give them credit for because they have their cornerstones in place. They're still going to add one, so that is true. But I look at some other teams, like I mentioned, like San Jose and Philly, who are their cornerstones. They don't exist. Like I think San Jose has San Jose in terms of young guys, like the next wave. They have William Eklund. Does everyone know William
Ryan
Eklund?
Still there?
No, he got rocket shipped off.
Dude, Ryan Merkley was the next big thing as well.
Character issues, Mr. Character issues.
Yeah.
Philly, like their cornerstones are Tyson Forster and Cutter Gauthier, who haven't played games from yet. Like they're not even in the show. Anaheim's we can see though. We know them. They play games. They're Zegras. They're McTavish. They're Drysdale. There's Zellweger on the way. Like they have these guys. And I feel like for them, it might be a bigger risk than other teams. Once again, for the Capitals, like the character issue thing,
We
that's
fixed
why
that.
I think exactly like
Yeah.
you went through with Ovechkin. Character issue is the wrong word to use with Ovechkin, but
Maturity
people are
is the
just maturity and a lot of the time he was questioned for stuff that he didn't really need to be
Let's
questioned for the
let's
lack of commitment to win the Stanley
guys,
Cup. Like,
it's not commitment issues. There's
yeah,
there's a term for this. They're Russian. Like let's not paint around the fact that we still have these biases against guys like that, right? Like Michkov has all the talent in the world. The main reason why he's not being looked at as a top 3 bona fide lock
yeah,
is his so-called commitment issues, and
his nationality. Yeah,
it's because of his nationality. It's a lot tougher just because you basically have to pry him. If you want somebody like that right away, you have to move hell and earth basically to get him to come over. You have to
it'll be
break
very
binding
interesting to see
contracts.
if other Russian prospects also get devalued or don't go as high as we think. I think
I know.
Daniel Boo is that other guy. I don't know
yeah.
if we
Yeah.
maybe I'm pronouncing
No,
it
he's
French.
sick. He's
Maybe
sick.
it's straight up
Oh yeah.
Daniel Butt because it's Russian. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah,
But
maybe.
anyways, Daniel Butt. He's a Russian guy, so I'll be curious to see if how high or low he goes, and if it's a full across the board Russian thing, or if it's just a Michkov factor. That'll be interesting to see.
Dave, I like the flavor. I like the take. I don't think it's gonna happen just because of the fact that, like Christian said, Anaheim's more along the rebuild, and Fantilli's floor is at number 2C, and they
The rumor is that Pavlovic is the type of guy to do that though, because he came up under Yzerman in
Yeah.
Tampa. So
They did the
that's
most cider stuff, you know.
yeah. Oh, sorry, actually in Detroit, not Tampa. Yeah, they did the most cider stuff. The rumor is that he could have the balls to do it. I'm personally gonna bet against it too, but I think it would be
but
great theater.
but
Yeah.
the reason you would take a high, like if you have that high of a pick, what you would do is like you would go for the higher risk. I understand that, but they have their high risk guys, like you said. Like they have their guys already, their cornerstones. Just take the 2C, the guaranteed 2C. Canadian guy, I'm pretty sure McTavish and Fantilli are probably going to be good friends, you know.
You put
And
one of the three C's on the wing and you have a great time, right?
yes,
Because all three of them play center. You move one of them to wing, whoever it is, and
Fantilli,
you're set.
McTavish look fantastic as a 1-2. Zegras can fill in there if he has to. No matter what, just take the
Do
safe
it
route
well.
in this situation. Yes, you can't go wrong.
Hey, the
And
safe route, eh?
another thing I just want to point out, it's like they lost Getzlaf last year.
Mhm.
Fantilli's comparable is Ryan Getzlaf. It just works for me. I see it in my mind.
Mhm.
But I like the flavor. I respect it. But doesn't
Ducks
it's
just change the jerseys, man, and I'll cheer for you.
Oh man.
Okay.
But
Please.
Dave,
Just change your goddamn jerseys.
Dave, one last thing I just wanted to say. It doesn't matter what that prediction was. It's because Mishkov would be a capital.
Yeah,
after this
yeah.
draft.
Well, that's why he was. It was
That's what I
my
was
10
in
and not
for.
my 90, right? Because my
Okay.
90 is the Michkov's going to Washington. That's my 100 pick.
All right, Christian. What's your
All
10? Let's
right.
finish.
I feel like my 10 is a little bit more tame. So my 10 is that there's no D selected in the top 10. David Reinbacher, the top ranked defenseman, does not
At
go
11.
top 10. It's just a fully forward top 10. I think it's honestly very possible. And when you look at some of the mock drafts, specifically, this is from an Athletic article that came out 3 days ago. This is just a consolidation of a bunch of rankings. So they took a lot of the popular mock drafts, put them all together, and came up with a consensus top 10. That consensus top 10 includes no defensemen. It goes Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson, Michkov, Smith, Dvorsky, Leonard, Matthew Wood, Benson, Perot. So that is a consensus top 10 when you take a bunch of rankings and put them together. Reinbacher is pretty unanimously considered the top defenseman. There's other guys like Sandin Pellikka, Simashev, Willander, Oliver Bonk, 10 out of 10 name. But
No,
I'm going to go ahead and say no defenseman in the top 10. A little bit more
It could
tame on my
happen.
prediction, but I think and so the argument against it is how many times do we see teams say, you know what, we really need a defenseman. Let's go grab a defenseman. I know the general wisdom is best player available, BPA, but we've seen many teams stray from that before. The Moritz Seider thing was a big one, right? That was one where it was a huge reach. But man, it looks
It was
good.
pretty good.
It looks good in
It
hindsight.
looks
Did
really
it,
good.
it didn't, that much of a reach was like, are we sure? I think
It
if that
was
was
huge. Yeah.
I think if that was any other, if Chuck Fletcher made that draft pick, everybody looks at Chuck Fletcher like, what the fuck are
You
you doing,
dingus.
Chuck? Right?
I
But it's Iserman, right? Like,
Yeah.
if
I
Iser
can't argue with it.
if Iserman is making a pick for or if Detroit's making a pick for a left shot European defenseman, I don't think anybody's gonna complain. If it's Philadelphia, yeah, it's a little bit different.
You might be a little bit concerned, right?
But
Like,
Watch the Caps be the one to take Reinbacher now, destroy my 10% and destroy Brian's
Bryce.
dreams.
you know what it's gonna
Again.
be? It's
Again.
gonna be. You know who's taking Reinbacher? The 10. Who's at 10?
St. Louis.
St. Louis is at 10, eh? Wow. Okay.
Oh,
I could see
maybe
it.
not then.
I could see it, man. I don't think it's possible.
They're
All their D are old
somebody's
and
busting
suck.
your bracket.
If-
It's
if
9 or
I'm-
10 that's
yeah,
doing it.
If I'm being honest
Yeah,
with you, like I think that Philadelphia would be the one to go Reinbacher.
You're right.
Ooh,
They
might
definitely
be.
need a defenseman. You're totally right. They need a defenseman.
Because Cutter Gauthier is a pretty like starting piece for a forward,
Yeah.
and if this is the consensus best defenseman, and you get him at 7, that's pretty good value, I'd say.
Oh, it's good.
I think Reinbacher is like 6'3", and he's heavy and he's big.
The
I don't know,
comparable
it's
at
not-
its peak is Victor Hedman. That's what they say.
Victor
But-
Hedman at 7 is a
If you do-
pretty
If you
good.
get
Yeah.
a quarter
Yeah.
of Victor Hedman, that's still
Yeah. They don't think he's like as a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like it's not a guarantee he hits his ceiling. They say that he's got like great frame, the great decent skating, but his offense isn't there yet. But if he can work on the offense, then he's the full package. That's the scouting report on this guy. But I'll say screw David Reinbach in the scouting report. You're not getting picked until 11 at least.
11.
Okay. I've got some like recent news here. If you guys want me to just bring this up, just on some of the topics we were talking about. This is from Arpin Basu, who's a Montreal reporter.
Does it have to do with Ryan Leonard?
Sorry?
Does it have to do with Ryan Leonard?
No. Further to Pierre LeBrun's reporting here that Dubois is leaning to the Kings. I'm told the Canadians are still open to finding a way to make this work should those talks go off the rails. A source close to Dubois said it's too soon to roll him out, as unlikely as it seems right now. He's going to LA. Like I really don't see any way that it's Montreal at this point. And then this is from Emily Kaplan 10 minutes ago. Expect some heavy trade action this week. Kevin Hayes, Pierre-Luc Dubois deals. Flyers and Jets looking to do more too. Hearing several teams are trying to trade up in the first round, are having trouble. Nobody wants to budge. So we'll see that there. I hope we get somebody move up. It'd just be good. Good to see.
I actually have some news myself.
Okay.
I apologize to everybody who's listening because of the fact that we talked about Tony DeAngelo being traded to Carolina. That is not going to happen. The NHL has vetoed it.
Whoa. Really?
What?
Yeah. They said that they're going to talk to both teams, but as of right now, the NHL put the block on it.
So the
Because-
NHL did that.
Yeah, because it has to do with like circumvention in the sense that he played for Carolina for like 12 or like 14 months ago or something like that. Now he's
Yeah.
being traded
Oh my-
right back. Yeah, something like that.
I think what they're considering there is this is too much of a fleece. That's basically what they're saying. That would be too much of a fleece to happen. That's pretty stupid. Because what are they? I'm gonna look up now. I think they got a first and a second. We were talking about this before. I think that's what they
honestly, I
got
think
for
it was like a second, a third, a fourth, and a third, or something like that, like a package of picks. I don't think it was a
you're
first
right.
and a second.
You're right.
Yeah.
Second, third, fourth. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. And that was July 8th, 2022. So if the rule is 12 months, they can just do this on July 9th. Like, is that you tell me they're not going to veto it then? If that's the case, just let it go through now, you idiots.
I remember a couple years ago when Colorado was our offshore bank account, we sent Brooks Orpik there with Philip Grubauer. And they bought out Brooks Orpik, and we sent him back right after the next season. I remember the year after there's a rule around that you can't do that. It's cap circumvention.
But
maybe,
dude, like I don't think anyone was thinking that with this. No
I
one
don't think
thought
so
that.
either. No,
Like
but
we've been talking about this potential trade for a couple days, and nobody has been like, "Oh, what the hell? This is so stupid." No one said that except the NHL.
I don't know. I think this is kind of it's a new regime. It's a new GM. I think that this should be able to go through. As of right now, we don't know what's going on. As of right now, we don't know if it is going to go through. The NHL is going to talk to both teams. I'm just going off this tweet I have here, but I guess we'll see. Is there
I
anything
guess
else you
we'll
guys want to
see.
say before we end off?
TFC fired Bob Bradley like 20
Oh,
minutes
it's
ago.
about time. It's
about
about
Whatever.
time.
3 wins in 20 matches. So if you ever think that you can't succeed at something, just remember
Look at Bob Bradley.
look at Bob Bradley, man. Like that's a 20% winning
His
percentage there.
Michael is his son, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be an awkward press conference next time they talk to him, eh?
Yeah, I think he might be the next one out. I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's what I always assumed when I heard stuff like this. I'm like, how do you fire the dad without also like trading or like letting go of the son? Like that seems interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be like,
It's
oh, it's just business.
That's the
Michael
answer.
Bradley's that type of guy.
That's the
Yeah,
correct answer. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um. Anything else you guys want to say?
Really excited for the draft. Really excited
Yeah.
for the whole week because Saturday we
And
got free agency. So
I think NHL awards are tonight too.
Yeah, but like
those are kind of
that's whatever.
I'll tune in. I'll just be like,
will
I want to
tune
see
in.
who wins.
No,
Me too.
what the
I
NHL
will.
awards is like in the future you can be like, oh, this guy won a Norris, right? This guy has a Lady Bing, and you can
Yes.
accolade on him. But like in the moment, no one cares. Let's be
Is it
honest.
in Nashville as well? I think it is.
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
My
Smart of them
1%
to do it
pick.
that way.
Connor McDavid does not win the Hart this year. That's my 0.01% pick.
Who's even the top three? Because like,
Hey,
does anybody even
it's
care?
McDavid, Dry. I don't know.
I think it's
Kachuk.
Kachuk and Pasta. I think.
Is that the top three? Dry didn't
I
even
think.
make top three, and I'm pretty sure he had. What do you have? 51 goals, 52.
He had a crazy amount, but I
Yeah,
actually I
like-
think it's Kachuk Pasta, but I'm not actually 100%.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's a landslide.
I'm realizing, boys, we might have to. Yeah, we might have to try and get an episode before free agency if we want to do a free agency preview. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we can do something. Yeah,
Well, we'll definitely have something. We'll have stuff to talk about for sure. Like
100%.
I think
There would be stuff to
regardless, we're
talk about
gonna
no matter
get-
what.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
This could be the second last episode of the season. Could be.
yeah, might be.
potential. It was a good
Okay.
one.
When it there. Shout out to Fubo TV. Shout out to Razor. Shout out to NHL.ca. If you want to grab your Pure Luke Dubois Los Angeles King jerseys, that's where you
Yeah.
go.
God, I'm
Ooh,
good.
Are you-
Scott
speak-
Laughton leaves Jersey soon.
If you want a
Maybe,
Matvey
maybe.
Michkov Anaheim Ducks jersey.
Ah.
funny.
No, it's gonna be a Caps jersey. Oh man, Matvey, nice red. What 18? Does anybody have 18? Oh, what's Michkov's number?
17.
7. Oh my god, I was one off. Holy hell.
17 for Russia. 39 for club. But
I was gonna say if he takes 18 right now because Ovi's got, or he goes 88. He doubles the eights.
Patty Kane
Patty Kane.
tribute.
that's another UFA out there. But anyway, thanks for listening. We'll end it there.